Imagine you're out having lunch with a friend and you're not wearing your mask because the rules tell you you don't have to wear a mask, but some stranger starts haranguing you. And not just at the table, but follows you out of the restaurant, follows you to your car, and is continuing to harass you as you're trying to peacefully drive away, minding your own business, when finally, out of fear and frustration, you take out the only weapon you have. It's a can of pepper spray, and you warn your would-be assailant that you're going to pepper spray him if he doesn't back off, and he doesn't back off. So you pepper spray him. Well, that's what happened to Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler with the pepper spray, which it turns out would be against police policy in Portland. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green, and this is Right Angle with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Gentlemen, this story just so much tickled my fancy on so many levels. First, you have the angry Kyle, which is the male equivalent of Karen, getting in the mayor's face over not wearing his mask, where he doesn't have to wear his mask. And then Ted Wheeler using more force than his own police are authorized to use in a similar situation. Bill, I know we've been playing a lot of COVID reaction hypocrisy lately and a lot of riot reaction hypocrisy lately, but we get them both in the same story with the actual mayor of Portland. I guess my question is, does it get any better than this for us?
I don't know. You know, when I finally got home and rinsed my eyes out, I felt pretty bad about it afterwards. I probably overreacted in that case.
These things
but
happen.
There he was, no mask, does not realize there's a global pandemic going on. I don't know how many of these shows we've done. We've done thousands and thousands of right angles, thousands and thousands. And I guarantee you 50% of them at least have been on this hypocrisy of left-wing philosophy and politics. Just the plain hypocrisy of it. There is just so much here to unpack. I'm glad that I'm sorry, it's not Karen. Who is it? It's a Kyle.
Kyle is the male Karen. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad Kyle got a little pepper for his efforts, because that sounds like he was just bat guano crazy. And I'm glad that the mayor got a chance to experience the fear that so many people in his city have been experiencing, with people running wild and no law and order on the streets and no sense that you can call the police and just plain anarchy and all the rest of it. And it just seems, if you really think about it, you basically told the entire United States of America to go to your room for a year now, damn near. And people are going to start getting nuttier as this goes on. I don't. This is just this, Steve. You just have to put this in the same bin as when the protesters from Antifa or BLM show up at the Seattle mayor's house and threaten her there, and she comes out and says, "No, wait, I'm on your side." It's like, no, you're not. There is no side. It's just unleashed anarchy. But I do not know how these people go through their day. I really don't know how it's possible for them to do that. To me, it seems like one experience like this, I'd be converted for life, like that couple in wherever it was when they had to come out to the I think that happens to you once. I think you're pretty much a conservative for life, and that goes to the old saw. A conservative is just a liberal who's been mugged.
Indeed. Scott, imagine you're a Portland police officer, assuming there are any left after Ted Wheeler has led his whole defund the police movement these last few months. And you are once again, probably your third or fourth night in a row, battling it out toe to toe with Antifa, BLM, professional, partly violent rioters. And you find yourself in a situation where deadly force might be needed, but you don't want to go that far because you aren't sure. So you pull out your tear gas, and the next thing you know, they're threatening to take your badge away. But the mayor did it, a justifiable excuse?
My guess is not. And it's not just, for sheer hypocrisy, although I hope, here's the challenge. The police are governed by a particular set of rules that they must follow. I don't know that the mayor is governed by those same set of rules. Technically, not a deputized member of the police force. I don't know whether in Portland an individual citizen is allowed to defend him or herself with pepper spray or not. Or if it's even legal to carry it. But I just think that while it's a interesting rhetorical juxtaposition, it may not be relevant to what the mayor is allowed to do. I do think that the mayor is getting a little taste of how people feel. Not everybody, but at least one jackass feels about the restrictions that have been put in place there, and the kind of atmosphere that has been ginned up by some politicians that basically is demonizing people who are not fully on board with the agenda of how we're supposed to stop this pandemic. That said, no excuse for badgering the mayor, or anybody else for that matter. I had a situation where I work recently where there was a guy in there and he didn't have a mask on, and we are supposed to tell them that store policy requires them and local law requires them to wear a mask. And I did. And the guy who is like this big ripped guy wearing a Batman muscle shirt with tattoos up and down both arms. And he's bald. He looks like a professional wrestler. And I was just like, how far do I want to carry this? And but I did.
All the way to the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. So I did what we were supposed to do, which is if the customer declines to do that, we're to call a manager and let the manager take care of it. And for some reason, our tiny little manager was able to walk right up to him and within seconds have him putting his mask back on. So there's got to be some happy middle ground where people can politely say, hey, can you follow these guidelines without badgering you to death? And did Wheeler feel like he needed to defend himself physically? Like, did he think it was more than just some guy yelling at him that he could have driven away from? I don't know that, and so I'm loath to criticize him for that. It reminds me of a customer who came into the store the other day who actually was buying stuff for a new house. And I said, oh, are you just moving into the area? And she said, yes. And I said, and this is just, she's been here a couple of weeks. And I said, well, where are you coming from? And she said, Seattle. And I said, and I didn't say anything. And she goes, don't worry, I'm not trying to change Texas. I said, well, I wasn't assuming. I wasn't assuming that, It's like, but she felt like she immediately needed to comfort me that she wasn't going to screw up our state by coming in.
Scott, you just reminded me of a story that's only tangentially related to this whole thing, but it goes, I think, to the sadness that these lockdowns have forced on us, that this stupid Wuhan flu has forced on us. There's a dry cleaner locally that I've been going to for years. It's family owned, just this lovely, friendly, super nice couple. And we just made small talk, chit chat, whatever, while I'm picking up my clothes or dropping off my clothes. And the wife always dotes on my younger son, who's very doteable. And she felt the need for the first time in all the years we've known each other, even if we've only known each other, over the dry cleaner counter, to tell me that she and her husband were from Korea, not from China. And what do you do? I felt so bad for her that she felt like she had to tell me in some kind of self-defense that I would think less of her if I thought she and her husband had come here from China. That just made me sad. Tell you what didn't make me sad. This is the contra example. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so I'm not going to tell you where I was. But last weekend, I took my boys somewhere where they could have some fun. They're ages 10 and 15. And I was going to sit down and read my Kindle. I've got a great new book going. I was going to read my Kindle and have a little free time while they had fun. And I've been sitting there uncomfortable, kind of steaming in my own juices because it was too cold to go outside. And that's when I noticed that about half the people inside this place I won't mention weren't wearing masks, and management didn't seem to care either way. And I thought, well, this will be a nice little relief. So I took the thing off and figured I'd wash my hands when we left, and I use the rubbing alcohol stuff that I keep in the car and all that, and just be as careful as I can. But at least try and enjoy, for a change, sitting down and reading a book in a public place without this thing on my face. And the thing is, nobody got in each other's faces. Nobody bothered one another. Nobody assumed some moral superiority because they were or were not wearing a mask in a public place. And it got me to thinking, this Ted Wheeler story, we're all Americans, but Colorado Springs is a fairly conservative city. Portland is, shall we say, not a very conservative city. And I think therein lies the difference. One is basically well run. The other is run by Ted Wheeler. That's your right angle on that, brought by the members of BillWhittle.com. Just want to remind you that this kind of content needs your kind of sponsorship. So if you aren't a member, go to BillWhittle.com. Click join today. Or if you just want to make a one-time donation, if you like this particular episode and you want to tip us $1, make a one-time donation. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.